The burning of a bird of paradise crown in South Papua. Cultural, ecological, and social perspectives. The burning of a bird of paradise crown in Merauke, South Papua, has sparked strong reactions from indigenous communities and the wider public. This incident goes beyond the destruction of a material object. It also touches on symbolic aspects, cultural identity, and the dignity of indigenous Papuans. This article examines the symbolic meaning of the bird of paradise crown in Papuan culture, the reasons for prohibiting its use by non-indigenous people, and analyzes the possible motives behind the burning. This approach utilizes cultural anthropology and conservation ecology perspectives to examine how this act reflects the tensions between cultural preservation, environmental protection, and social dynamics in contemporary Papua. The bird of paradise crown holds a crucial position in the cultural structure of indigenous Papuans. This crown, typically made from bird of paradise or cassowary feathers, is not simply a headdress but a symbol of social status, dignity, and spirituality. In indigenous communities, the crown may only be worn by traditional figures such as Ondoafai or tribal chiefs during sacred ceremonies. Therefore, the burning of the bird of paradise crown in Merauke is not only seen as a violation of cultural norms, but also as an insult to the identity of indigenous Papuans, OAP. This phenomenon has given rise to widespread discourse involving social, ecological, and political issues. From an ecological perspective, bird of paradise feathers are obtained from protected species, while from a socio-cultural perspective, the crown reflects the continuity of traditional values passed down through generations. Therefore, any action against this traditional symbol must be viewed within the framework of protecting cultural values and preserving biodiversity. 1. The sacred meaning and socio-cultural function of the bird of paradise crown. The bird of paradise crown serves as a symbol of greatness and honor in indigenous Papuan society. Within the traditional value system, only individuals of high standing, such as tribal chiefs or traditional leaders, are entitled to wear it in traditional rituals such as coronations, peace ceremonies, or ceremonies welcoming ancestral spirits. According to the perspective of symbolic anthropology, Gertz, 1973, artifacts such as crowns serve not only aesthetic purposes but also contain a profound system of meaning that regulates the social and spiritual order of their owners' communities. Therefore, treating these crowns as ordinary objects that can be burned constitutes a symbolic violation that offends the collective conscience of indigenous communities. This act can be considered a form of symbolic violence, Bordeaux, 1991, which injures cultural identity and the continuity of customary values. 2. Reasons for prohibiting the use of crowns by non-indigenous people. The prohibition on the use of Cenderawasih crowns by non-Papuans or outside the context of traditional ceremonies is based on three main aspects: sacred values, species protection, and customary law. 1. Sacred values and customary dignity. The Cenderawasih crown is a symbol of customary greatness inherent in a particular social entity. Use by individuals outside the customary context is considered a form of profanation of these sacred values. 2. Ecological protection and positive law. The use of bird of paradise feathers in crowns has led to intensive hunting, threatening the population of this endemic Papuan bird. Based on circular letter of the Governor of Papua No. 660/6501/Set/2017, the use of genuine birds of paradise for non-customary purposes is prohibited to maintain ecosystem sustainability. 3. Customary sanctions and social regulations. In customary law, violations of the rules for wearing crowns can result in sanctions, ranging from removal of the crown to social ostracism. This demonstrates that the customary legal system still has a regulatory function in maintaining the sacredness of cultural symbols. 3. Analysis of the burning. The burning of the bird of paradise crown in South Papua can be examined from several possible motives. A. Provocative action and cultural politicization. There are allegations that the act was deliberately carried out by certain individuals to provoke anger among the Papuan public and foster social instability. Social media amplified this sentiment through the dissemination of images and comments that offended the collective sentiments of the indigenous community. B. Species protection efforts in the context of misperception. On the other hand, the burning may have been intended to signal a ban on the use of genuine bird of paradise feathers as a form of conservation education. However, this method is considered unethical because it ignores the cultural values and emotions of the indigenous community, who consider the crown a symbol of their ancestors. See misunderstanding and cultural ignorance. If the act was carried out by individuals who do not understand the customary context, this reflects the weakness of multicultural education in the Papua region and a lack of appreciation for the diversity of local cultural symbols. 4. Social impact and public reaction. This incident sparked a wave of anger among indigenous communities and representative institutions such as the South Papua Papuan People's Assembly, MRP. They demanded law enforcement and a public apology. Sociologically, this reaction reflects a collective identity defense mechanism against external symbolic threats. Erickson, 2002. More broadly, this incident demonstrates that the relationship between indigenous communities and non-indigenous authorities remains characterized by a heightened sensitivity to cultural symbols. 5. Policy direction and cultural solutions. In response, the local government has encouraged the use of synthetic imitation crowns through creative economy programs, cultural design competitions, and training in the manufacture of environmentally friendly replicas. This approach aligns with the principle of cultural sustainability, which emphasizes the balance between cultural preservation and natural conservation. Furthermore, establishing a traditional museum or Papuan Cultural Documentation Center is a strategic step to preserve authentic artifacts as a shared heritage, rather than objects for consumption or symbolic destruction. The burning of the Bird of Paradise crown is an event that touches on aspects of identity, ecology, and traditional values of the Papuan people. On the one hand, there is a need to protect the Bird of Paradise species from extinction. On the other, the method chosen to convey the conservation message must take into account the cultural values inherent in the symbol. Therefore, cultural and environmental preservation policies in Papua must be integrative, respect local wisdom, and involve indigenous communities as primary stakeholders. Therefore, respect for the Cenderawasih crown is not merely a matter of custom, but also a reflection of the nation's appreciation for Indonesia's cultural diversity.